What's up, guys? This is Pedro from My Stuttering Life, where you will hear the good, the bad, the very ugly. We're gonna laugh, we're gonna cry, but through it all, just know that you are not alone. So, let's get started. Welcome, Fernando Angulo.
Hello, everybody.
W- 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 Welcome, sir. This is a great honor. We have a lot of topics to cover, so let's get started.
Let's do it.
So, do you re remember when you first began to stutter?
Well, the exact moment of time where I remember if I even had a stutter or any sort of a speech impediment was gonna probably be back in grade school, maybe about third grade. Um, there was a time during class where we got called on to like to read and have some like popcorn reading, and I remember I couldn't get through the whole paragraph without stopping. I mean, I had to stop maybe about 5 or 6 times, and since then, I did notice that something was different than how my peers were talking, and so I didn't really pay too much attention to it. I feel like it was I was still very young, so it didn't really cross my mind to really put so much focus on it. Uh, But yeah, I think it was around the third grade where I realized I spoke different than my friends.
Does it run in your family? Are there any other family members who stutter?
Yeah, so my dad actually does stutter. I don't have so much background on his stutter as far as like when he was in his teen years, but I do know that he still does stutter. Now his stutter is very mild, but he still stutters. Like there's still times where he gets stuck in like regular on my conversations, and besides him, I have my sister had a very slight stutter when she was growing up. She's 20 years old right now. So right now she doesn't really stutter so much. It's funny because she was mostly in so she belonged to a group in school where she had to present in front of like pep rallies. So she did that. So, but I knew that behind closed doors, she did have a small stutter, especially in Spanish. But for her to be doing all that, I mean, for me, it's like she didn't really care too much about it, or because it was very, very mild. And then I do have one cousin in the family besides my dad and my sister. He also has been studying since he was young, and he still stutters, to this day. He's currently in college. And so, but besides that, I don't really know of anybody else in my family who has had a stutter.
Did you ever have speech therapy in school? And if you did, was it helpful?
I did not have speech therapy in school, to my knowledge. I do remember a few sessions where my parents met with the teachers as far as my reading skill. Um, but I was never in like a one-on-one speech therapy, session that I, went to on a daily basis. I really didn't have that. Um, to be honest with you, speech therapy to me is was never in the back of my mind and was never in the back of my parents' minds. I never saw my stutter um, from the point where like it was something that really controlled my life. Uh, More so now. Now I really become more self conscious about it. I don't know why. It just started. Um, but Yeah, I never really had any speech therapy. Maybe just speaking to my mom about it, I would pretty much talk. I'm a very outgoing person, so I guess that it's my therapy, in and of itself. But I never really went to any, professional. Um, but sometimes I wish maybe I did go, and I mean, there's still time for me to go, see a speech therapist. But no, growing up, I did not go to speech therapy.
See, that's what I was going to ask you next. Were you going to go now? Um, I know that you're in college right now, Grand Canyon University, and so each college has a an office of special populations, and that's where they have all of the counselors, and therapists, and so when I was in college, uh, uh, I got help because um, I don't have to tell you that school is rough. Grade school, junior high, high school, college, and 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 so for me, speech therapy, it had a positive impact, and so what you are hearing is 20 years of speech therapy. I went from 0%. That's, I mean, nothing came out, Fernando. Zero came out. And so after 20 years, I'm at 80%. But I'm at this point in my life, uh, I'm old, Fernando. I'm 51 years old. And so it's like, I'm tired. And so now uh, I do other techniques. I do mindful meditation. I do my diaphragmatic breathing. I read out loud. And so, that's what I do now. But in your case, um, there are lots of speech therapists out there. So, down the road, maybe.
Yeah, of course, of course. It
Um,
is. Go ahead,
mhm.
go ahead.
Go, 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 go.
It is definitely something that I have. I've been looking more into going. Maybe after I'm done with school, I have about 2 weeks left before I graduate. So I think after school, I do plan to go seek out a speech therapist and maybe sit down with them and talk to them. Not as not as a session where I'm pouring out my heart, but most uh, I need specific speech uh, help. You know what I mean? I don't attribute my speech to something that happened to me or in an emotional situation of my life that caused me to stutter. I feel like it's just I was born with a stutter. It is just I don't know if it is genetic because my father did stutter, but I can maybe I'm sure I can attribute some of that to that. You know what I mean? It being genetic. But no, I definitely want to go out there and seek, speech therapy and see how much more my speech can be improved and, go from there.
How cool. My mom had a stutter. She was born with it. However, in her, teenage years, she had told herself that she was done, and she was done, Fernando. She was 100% completely done. Um, so uh, you were talking about genetics, and so you know there are nights that I just I just think about because my stutter was caused by a dog attack when I was 5 years old, and so I think about what if I hadn't walked home from school that day. What if they had picked me up? Would I, develop it later in life because my mom had it? Or did the dog attack trigger it quickly? I mean, who knows? But I mean, um, there is research that it is genetic. However, I wish there was more research on it nowadays. But yeah.
Yeah.
So school wise, how did you handle school with having a stutter?
Oh, school. Uh, you know, throughout my grade school years up until senior year of high school, and it's funny to say because looking back at it, I don't know how I did it. Uh, I got through school, and I never really paid too much attention to my stutter. Uh, it's funny because I thought the way that I spoke was normal. But then I started to realize as I got older, maybe around like my high school years, sophomore years, when we had to be going up in front of the class and presenting more, I saw that other students were presenting fluently. They were going up there and just it was going smooth. And I had trouble up there. There was times where I would go up there and it'd be smooth, it'd be fluent, it'd be just going along with the flow. But there was times where I couldn't say the word. I couldn't say the word, and it's just I would pause, and these pauses felt like an eternity. These pauses felt like I was silent for 2 minutes when it was in reality about a couple seconds. So yeah, I started doing lots of presentations during my sophomore year through my senior year of high school, but I never really paid too much attention to it. Now, being in my senior year of undergrad, only 2 weeks left, it's really hit me. And for some reason, I paid more attention to my stutter in these past couple months than I've ever had through school, from elementary to now, when 2 weeks prior to me graduating. I don't know. It's crazy how life works. For some reason, it has really hit me these past couple months, and everything in life has a reason. So I don't know if this is making me pay more attention to my stutter as far as raising awareness for it, educating more people, or it's something that I'm learning to deal with now. Now that it's more prevalent in my life, I feel like I've I've really focused on it more. Therefore, I become more self-conscious about it. And I don't know if that's for the better or for the worse, but we'll see.
S- So if I can recollect my uh, college years, towards the end of my undergrad, we had a lot of presentations. We had, I mean, almost every class we had to do group projects and presentations, and so maybe that was the catalyst, perhaps, of being self conscious because when I had to give presentations, Fernando, let me tell you, you talk about I will do anything
Mhm.
if I don't have to speak. However, I know that if I want to graduate with with my bachelor's in psychology, then I need to do this. And I mean, it was rough, Fernando. I mean, it was rough. I blocked, I repeated, but I got through it. And in group projects, I mean, I mean, I would tell my group members, look, I'll do all the work. I'll do everything in Word and PowerPoint. I'll type everything. I will do everything. If if y'all talk. And so thankfully, it worked out. But I mean, towards the
Mhm.
end of college, you have all these, moral tests and, presentations, and maybe that was the spark that um, started the what's the word? Um, oh my God, I blocked on the word. Self awareness.
Self-awareness.
Yeah. Um, d- 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 did you find it hard making friends in school?
Surprisingly, no. I mean, Pedro, I mean, when I tell you I'm a very sociable person, I'm the person to go up to somebody and start the conversation. You know, I usually wasn't the kid to wait for somebody to come and talk to me or wait so, I could be recognized by, my friends. I would be the one that would go up to and make friends, with those kids that you saw at the end of the table, you saw that they were by themselves, you saw that they were eating, lunch alone. I was that person. I was that kid ever since growing up. I never let my stutter stop me from being sociable. I've never had a problem making friends. Now, I did, have a problem keeping those friends because those friends didn't turn out to be friends. They turned out to be students that were going with me to school. You know what I mean? So but no, I think making friends was not a problem. It is not a problem in my life now. I consider myself to be a person that is not shy, even though I am shy when it comes to my stutter. But no, I mean, thank God I never really had trouble making friends. Um, but yeah,
Well, Fernando, I wish I had you in my school because I ate alone. I mean, because no one wanted to hang out with the kid who couldn't talk. I would eat lunch in the janitor's closet. Or eat lunch behind the school, and so I had an extremely difficult time making friends. Later in life, in my 30s and 40s, I learned, skills to be a friend. And so um, those skills, I feel are really they they are very um, um, important growing up because I mean, we need to have that buddy to talk to um, when we have those dark days. And so, yeah. Um, Job wise, I know we can't really prove this in a court of law or quantify it or whatnot, but I mean, did your stutter ever held you back job wise?
job wise, no. It's funny that well, I say this, but my first job was at the age of 21. 21 to through maybe the beginning of my 22nd birthday. I got a job at a Walmart. It was my first job interview. Um, Now, mind you, I had prior jobs, but they weren't jobs that I had to go interview for. They were jobs that were just, hey, you know what, you want to work here? Cool, let's do it. But this job, I had to go interview. You go dress nicely, you put on your tie or you wear your nice polo, and so one on one because usually interviews for jobs are usually done one on one. It's very rare where there's two people in the room. One on one, I feel like my interpersonal communication um, is good. I feel like my stutter doesn't get in the way of that. Now, mind you, I do know consciously that I do stutter during the interview, but it has never rubbed off on the person interviewing me. So it never made me feel uncomfortable. Therefore, I pretty much went into that interview and I got the job. Now, I've done interviews for school that are not job wise, but it's the same type of questions in a sense. So job wise, during interviews, my stutter hasn't really never really got in the way. Like I said, I my stutter now has become more a part of me. I'm more conscious about it. Back then, I wasn't really conscious about it, but I knew I stuttered. I just now it's more prevalent in my life. It's on the table rather than it's tucked away waiting to come on, you know?
Yes, sir, I do. um, during your job interviews, did you just go into them without disclosing your stutter?
Yeah, I have never disclosed my stutter to anyone, to be honest with you. Um, Going into that interview or to those several interviews, um, no, I never said, hey, you know what, guys, before we start this interview, I'm a person who stutters. I've never done that. Um, no, so no.
What was your
Mhm.
worst job interview?
My worst job interview was actually at a Costco. I was going in there to apply during my first few years at community college. I was, like looking for a job, and I went there. In order to get a job interview at Costco, you sometimes have to know somebody. So I had a cousin who worked there, and she was able to get me an interview. I went into that interview feeling very confident, even though inside I was nervous, I was anxious, I was looking forward to just getting it over with. But I went in there, and the first interview went pretty good. And the second interview came, I was able to stick around. They told me, hey, stick around because you have a second interview coming up. I thought I had nailed the job because when you get called back, it's usually because you get the job. So I got called back and I was asked a few other questions. And I guess my sentence structure and formation made the answers to my questions really out of sorts because I was pausing too much. I was stumbling. I was replacing words because I couldn't say a certain word. So therefore, the sentence came out kind of wrong. And so, worse did happen. I didn't get called back. I didn't get the job. But I was told it wasn't because of my interviewing skills. It was because of they said I was chewing gum. You know, so
You were chewing gum.
yes, and I was not. But
Yeah.
I do feel like I was, in a sense, you know, um, not taken serious. So therefore, I didn't get hired. But it is what it is.
Let me tell you, Fernando, I mean, I bombed so many job interviews. I couldn't even say my name. I would do heavy breathing. They would ask me, "Am I okay? Do they need to call 911?" I hyperventilated in one job interview, and they gave me a, a paper bag to breathe in. And I mean, I can't tell you how many job interviews I bombed. Later in life, I just had an attitude that I will just go and do it. I will walk in, I will disclose, tell them, look, I'm Pedro Peña. I have a speech impediment. I have a stutter. So if I get hung up on any word, give me 8 hours, and 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 that word will come out. However, if you know what I'm trying to say, help you, help me, help you, help me, and it worked. It worked. I mean, it that lowered, all of their stress, and and plus anxiety, and it helped me to just have it out there. And once I got it out there, I mean, uh, I was okay. They would ask me questions, and so I would give them answer after answer after answer. But I mean, the hard part was that first, you know, greeting, and telling them, because I mean, I can't hide this, Fernando. Let me tell you. I mean, it is what it is. And so now I go in, I disclose, I do my thing, and that's it. Because what I have learned is that in the job interviewing, what I am doing is um, I'm not um, they are not interviewing me. It is the opposite. I am interviewing them. And once I had that in my head, whew, I mean, I was good to go. I was good to go. So, but I mean, I had some horrible, job interviews. But life goes on, right?
Life does go on.
Now, let me ask you about some ADLs, and these are uh, 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 activities of daily living. So, how are you on the telephone? I'm curious.
On the telephone, now I'm good. I because as we both know, when you're on the telephone, you're not seeing that person. You know,
Exactly.
you're
Yes.
not you're not seeing that person, so there's not really much anxiety going on because even if I do stutter, it's like they don't know who I am, they don't know how I look like, unless it's somebody who's like a relative or a family member. But besides that, on the telephone, I've known, especially when you have to deal with like customer service calls, I've learned that you have to be assertive, and if you're not assertive, you're not going to be taken serious. So, as far as me calling somebody and telling them, "Hey, this is, I have this, going on, this problem," has never really been an issue for me because I've learned that no matter what, I have to talk. Whether that's in the phone, whether that's in person, whether that's in public, whether that's it doesn't matter. I have to talk. So, but for those that stutter, and I'm sure a lot of my peers out there will understand this, is that when you're behind the telephone, you're like you're you're in a shell and you're not exposed to the outside in a sense because you're not speaking to anybody face to face. You're speaking to a device, you know. So
Interesting. And what about restaurants and drive-throughs?
drive-throughs, I did have a tough time, especially with certain words. We all have those words where it's difficult for us to say, especially those syllables. Like for me, like if I went to go order, some like chicken nuggets, and I wanted honey mustard, it would take me forever to say honey mustard. I would sometimes even tell my sister or whoever was in the car with me to say it for me because I was not scared, but I didn't want to be ridiculed through the speakerphone or say like, hey, wait, what did you ask me for again? You know what I mean? But as far as at like restaurants, I did sometimes have a hard time because when it's your turn to order the food, everybody on the table is looking at you. So the pressure falls
Yes.
on you to order your food, order what you want to drink, order what kind of sauce you want, order whatever it is. And so it has been difficult sometimes, but I get through it. But yes, it has been difficult during my drive-through runs at In and Out or at wherever it may be. And so I've learned to deal with it, I guess.
Yeah. Re- re- what I have learned in restaurants is if the menu has pictures, bingo, the jackpot. I just point. Yeah, take that, take that. Yeah. And then also waiters. I will I will tell the waiter, look, I have a speech impediment. I have a stutter. So I would greatly appreciate your patience. And then at the end of the meal, I will leave you a huge tip. And so let me tell you, Fernando, I mean, I had the most patient, the most respectful waiter ever. And so I'm at the end of the meal, a huge tip. So yeah, you know,
That's
life
awesome.
can go on. Yeah. Uh, So, do you think that it is important for people who stutter to have a thick skin?
Oh, of course it is. It's extremely important to have thick skin because, you know, there's times where you might get laughed at because you speak differently than the person next to you, or, you know, you get ridiculed in front of people, you get picked on in front of others. You must have thick skin, and you have to have thick skin because in this world, nobody's gonna feel sorry for you. They might feel sorry for you right then and there, but in the long haul, you have to do what you have to do to make it. And that's with anything in life. So you must have thick skin because you must stand up for yourself. You you have to have thick skin so others won't step on you and try to step ahead of you. So yes, it's extremely important to have thick skin. I've uh, I've always learned since I was little. My dad used to tell me, "Hey, no matter what, you be yourself and be the best at being yourself." Because sometimes we try to imitate others, you know, and try to be somebody who we're not. So it's important to have thick skin because at the end of the day, the person that you have to live with is yourself and that voice that's in your head 24/7. So you must have thick skin.
Yes, sir. 100%. I agree with you because in grade school, I mean, I mean, the bullies and the mocking and the teasing, and telling me that I was stupid and had mental retardation. I mean, I took all that in. So, if you hear that every day, Fernando, if you hear it every day, year after year after year, you tend to believe it. You tend to believe it. But thankfully, I reached a point in my life where I just told myself, I'm done. You know, um, I am Pedro. I have a stutter. It doesn't define who I am. It's just what I have. And Pedro's awesome. And Pedro, I love you. I love me some Pedro. And so it took me just a long time to do that. And once I did, Fernando, let me tell you, I mean, I could have a conversation with a person. Okay. And so, let's say I had a block or repeated. It's okay. I would stop and breathe and keep on going. My confidence grew every day after that. And I mean, a whole a whole new world had opened up. And what I had learned is that hurt people. And so if you have a person who has to make fun of you to make themselves feel better, that is on them. Because I know that Pedro's awesome. So I mean I had learned later in life that, now I do have a thick skin. And so um you you still have people out there, Fernando, y- who will who will st- st- still make fun of you. However, that's on them. That's on them. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
So, here is a hot topic. Okay. When I ask all of my guests, it's just sp- split right down the middle. So let me ask you, Fernando. So
Mhm.
do you let others finish your your s- 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 okay, so let me, okay, hold on. I'm gonna breathe. Do you let others finish your sentences?
No, I do not now. When I was younger, I wouldn't really pay too much attention to it. I feel like they were helping me in a sense. But now, communication has to be a big part of who you are too, because in order to fully express yourself, you must speak, and you must speak your thoughts. You must convey them with, whether that be in different, situations calls for different ways of conveying your message, whether that be with assertiveness, whether that be, with, compassion, with, just different ways of speaking. But now I do stand up for myself more, say, hey, you know what? Let me finish. Let me continue what I have to say, because what I have to say is important. Just like I let you speak, let me speak. And one thing that I've learned, Pedro, is to be a great listener. Because as a kid, when, let's say, I would get in trouble or something, it'd be hard for me to speak after that. Like whenever I was being lectured or something, I'd be a great listener. And let's say my parents, my dad told me something and be like, hey, talk. Tell me what's going on. Tell me. And I was always just quiet, just listening to what either my parents had to say or whoever I was talking to had to say. And that gave me a great skill in life. Is sometimes we communicate too much, but there's no comprehension behind what we're saying. People don't get what we're saying. People don't understand. People don't fully take it in and grasp what you're talking about. And so that's extremely important. So yes, I do now really, it kind of irks me now that if somebody will be, finishing out my sentence, but I don't really, let it get to me. It's very small and minuscule in the grand scheme of things.
See, um, during my school years, when they would do it, I would get angry because um, I have the words in my head. They will just not come out. Um, so whenever they would finish my sentences, I would feel less than, um, like I'm broken, damaged. L- later in life, okay, I'm older now. I'm tired. And so now, if you are going to do it, okay, it is for me, because we're all different. So if you are going to do it for me, it is always appropriate to ask first. Do you mind, if I help you, if you have any, you know, block? And so I'll say, sure. However, you have to get it right because I don't have to tell you, Fernando. There were times when they got it all wrong, and that would make me more agitated and more irritated. So yeah, we're all different.
We're all different, exactly.
You were talking about the voices, in your head, uh, uh, um, negative voices. So you did experience negative self-talk?
Negative self-talk, yes. I mean, every human being does. Uh, for us people who stutter, it might get amplified. It might be more with more meaning than to somebody who does not stutter. But for me, yes, negative doubt creeps in everybody's lives, and every single day of my life, especially these past couple months, I've had negative talk. You know what I mean? Like mental health is a big issue, and it's somewhat taboo in today's society to say, hey, you know what, I'm going through something mentally, and some people consider that or make you out to seem like you're weak, or and but yes, negative talk does run through my head, sometimes, and but I have learned to block it out. I've learned to let my voice, my actual physical voice, outweigh what's going on in my head. And so, because words of affirmation, sometimes from yourself, go a long way rather than hearing it from somebody else. Because the person that you have to live with 24/7 is yourself, nobody else. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
so, nobody knows what's going on in your head but yourself. And so, but yeah, negative talk, has creeped in, several times, and but I've always managed to outweigh it with my own physical voice.
How cool. Because um m- mind I named Oscar. I'm Oscar the Grouch. And I mean, he had control over my entire life for decades. I mean, Fernando, for decades. He told me what to do and when to do it and how to do it. And and so that one day when I turned 40, I just, you know, like you, I shut him down because Pedro is going to make that phone call. Pedro is going to go and order at Taco Bell or Whataburger at a drive-thru because Pedro is hungry and I am going to do it. When a Oscar would pop up like you, I would shut him down because I am going to do this. I can do it. I will do it. I'm going to do it. And after I did it, Fernando, let me tell you, it was awesome because I did it. I shut down Oscar because I don't have to tell you. He pops up all day, every day. You can't make that phone call. You can't talk to that person. You can't talk at all. However, like you, now I shut him down, and so I'm going to do it because what I have to say has value, and what I have to say is important. And so, you know, I'm that was a hard thing to do. I mean, it was hard because it deals with confidence. You know, now I am confident. Back in the day, Fernando, oh no. I mean, I couldn't do much of anything be, be, because Oscar told me that I couldn't. And therefore, I didn't have the confidence. And now Pedro is confident. I can do anything. I still stumble. I still block. I still repeat. I do those mental gymnastics in my head that you were talking about, word replacements. However, I'm still confident. I'm still awesome because life has to go on. The world won't stop because I cannot say my name. So, hallelujah for that. Now,
Hallelujah.
yes, sir. So, here is a head scratcher. So, when you are alone, can you speak without stuttering?
Yes, I feel like I can talk to myself, have a full on conversation, being 100% fluent. I feel like when I talk to myself, it's just, mind you, I talk to myself all day. You know,
So do
it,
I.
it sometimes it's not out loud, but there's one place where I don't stutter at all. That's in my mind, in my head. There's no stuttering going on because there's no actual vocal sound coming out. It's in here rather than out here. And so, um, but yeah, I mean, when I'm alone, I can practice saying something and it'll come out perfect, saying a certain syllable or certain vowel, and I don't stutter. But when I have to tell it to somebody or tell it to somebody on the phone or tell it to somebody on a FaceTime or something like that, it does you know, I do stumble, I do block, I do repeat. Um, but when I'm by myself, unfortunately, we can't be by ourselves and talk to ourselves 24/7. So, you know,
Let me tell you, Fernando, I am your opposite. Um, when I'm alone, and talk out loud, I still block and repeat and and stumble. But then also in my head, like what you were talking about, I don't stutter in my head. It's weird. However, um, when I'm going over my schedule or talking out loud or reading a page, you know, per day, I still have the blocks and I still repeat. And so um, when I ask my guests this, the re- the the responses are split right down the middle. So it's just interesting how we're all d- d- different. However, we do have that common denominator that we all have a stutter.
exactly, yes.
So have you ever encountered a situation where you had a person ask what was your name, and then you have a block, but you have a long block, nothing is coming out, and the other person is asking you, did you forget your name? Has that ever happened to you, Fernando? I'm just curious.
It has happened to me, not in the sense that I've had a big block where no words came out or no sounds came out, but yeah, there has been a time where even I think a professor in college one day, because the first day of school is always state your name, state your major, state your career choice, and that always happens. But I think I had one time a professor tell me, because I kind of stay stuck. I said, for Fernando Angulo goes, oh, did you forget your name? And I was like, I just looked over to my side and I saw everybody looking at me. I just got even more nervous. I said, no, yeah, my name's Fernando Angulo. You know, there was not much I can say after that. After I was already ridiculed by that professor. But
Yeah.
after class, he actually did apologize, say, hey, I'm sorry if I said something that might
Oh,
have
good.
offended you, and and I didn't make it seem like, oh, I was down on myself and I was gonna go home and cry about it. You know what I mean? It happened and it is what it is. I had faced similar situations like that, not exactly like that because I was really direct towards me, but I just managed to just keep on going.
Ooh, Fernando, the first day of school, I mean, whoo, you hit a trigger with Pedro because as you know, on the first days of school, you have to get up and give your name and da 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 da. Well, I did that one time, Fernando, one time. And I mean, it was rough. I mean, I blocked, I stumbled, I repeated. And, all that I can recall is hearing laughter, and mocking, calling names like Porky Pig. So, after that traumatic experience, um, I had, I had, told myself this will never happen again. And so, I would miss the first, 2 days of school. We're talking every year, Fernando. We're talking grade school. We're talking junior high, high school, undergraduate. It followed me, Fernando, because you don't forget that type of trauma. It happened in, undergrad and graduate school. I would always miss the first 2 days. And then on the third day, I just hop in and just ease on into my chair. And then it was all good. It was all good because for me, it was called s- 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 survival. Okay, and this is how I had cope with it because I wasn't going to put myself through through that type of trauma, year after year after year. And so yeah, that's how I would handle that. So
Of course, yeah. Everybody has different ways of handling different, situations, and it's I can resonate with you when it comes to finding ways to skip out of certain situations. Finding ways to. Is there a loophole? Is there something I can do to work my way around it? Is there something? But at the end of the day, it's just a matter of you having to take care of business, whether that be at school, whether that be at work, whether that be in life or with your family. It is what it is. Life goes on. Time doesn't wait for nobody. You know what I
exactly.
mean? So,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Now
mhm.
here is a deep question. For some, it is controversial, but I ask everyone on my podcast this. So let me ask you this, Fernando. Do you consider stuttering a disability?
Short but concise answer: no. Stuttering is not a disability, in my opinion, because as somebody who lives with one, I can tell you that everyone, everybody in life has things that they have to deal with, things that they have to overcome, obstacles that are set in front of them that they must overcome. And there's people that don't have legs, there's people that don't have arms, there's people that can't talk, there's people that can't hear. And I'm a big man of faith, and there's a purpose to each and everyone's life. And so if this is the way God made me, then I have to own up to it. And I'm not disabled by any means. There's nothing in this world that can prevent me from doing something but myself. At the end of the day, you are the only one to stop yourself from achieving and accomplishing anything you want to set out and do in your life. And so, no, I do not consider it a disability. I understand the argument behind as to why some people might say that yes, it is considered a disability because anything that impairs you from doing something is a disability in a sense. But for me personally, I think no, stuttering is not a disability. It's not like going to the DMV and asking for a handicap, saying, "Hey, Fernando stutters. Here's my sign." No, you know. So, but yeah,
Thank you for that. And you had talked about this briefly, but do you think that your stutter will ever hold you back career wise?
I can see how it can. Yes, I can definitely see how it can hold me back. Now, everybody has the conscious decision of allowing it to hold you back. I feel like it is up to me to decide that. I can't leave it in the hands of anybody else. If you're not gonna hire me because I stutter, well then you're missing out. You know, um,
Exactly.
so um, no, I feel like my stutter's a part of me and it comes with me. So if you get me, you get my stutter, and that's me. That's Fernando, and that is Pedro, and that is anybody who stutters or anybody that goes and has something that they must overcome. You know.
See, and that is a that is an awesome answer because what I tell everybody is you want us on your team. You 100% want us on your team because we are creative, we are resourceful, we are resilient, and we are courageous. And you want us on your team because we are going to excel. I mean, we will run circles, around all of your other coworkers, employees. Because you know that is who we are. We work harder than anybody else. We work uh, like um okay, voicemails. Okay, for everybody else, you know, they can do their voicemail in under half a minute. But for us, you know, for me particularly, Fernando, it takes me about over half an hour. you know, but at the end of the day, I'm not gonna give up because I know that I have to have a voicemail. So if it takes me an hour or 2 hours, it is okay because I'm gonna get it done. It may have some blocks, it may have some repetitions, but that is Pedro. That
Amen.
I mean, what you hear is what you're gonna get. So, yeah, but you want to hire us. You want us on your team because we are going to outdo everybody and we are going to sh sh shine bright. So, yeah, that is an awesome.
Amen. Likewise, yes, that's awesome.
Alright, so here is another hot topic. Okay, let's talk dating because as you know, dating is, hard for everybody. However, for us, it's it's a little bit more complicated. So, Fernando, how did you handle dating with having a stutter?
How did I do it? Well, uh, I do have a girlfriend right now of 6 years. I'm 26 years old now, so I've been with her since I was 19 years old. But back in high school, prior to my now, current girlfriend, I never really let it stop me from, talking to girls or, finding ways to make a conversation with, the opposite sex. Or it was never something that really held me back. But I did always think about it, like, hey, what is she gonna think about me when I have to go one on one with her and go drink coffee or go out to eat when I'm talking to her face to face? What's is she gonna laugh? Is she gonna, shy away? Is she gonna get up and leave? And I don't know, But when I met my girlfriend, and you know what? Actually, right before this podcast, I had asked her, "Hey, did you realize I stuttered when I met you?" And she told me, "Well, now that you ask me, I did, but I never really paid too much attention to it." So for that, for me to hear that, it was like, oh, it's, because it wasn't up until I think yesterday when I asked her that, I never realized. I mean, she obviously knew that I have a stutter. It's I can't hide that. No matter how much somebody tries to hide a stutter, it's impossible because you're gonna be fighting with your head and with your thoughts 24/7. It's too overwhelming that I can't do it personally. So, but no, I mean, dating wise, I've been able to have success when it comes to that, but it's hard. It is hard, and I've definitely have had stumbles, but I've always seemed to overcome it and get the car rolling.
See, and okay, so she's a keeper, Fernando. She's a
Amen. She
keeper
is.
because one thing that my stutter has taught me, and later on I'm ask you that question, but it lets me know who people really are. It shows me their
Of course.
personality. So if I have a block or if I repeat,
Mm.
and the other person is looking up or looking at their watch, or maybe they are not patient and they walk away, which they have done, Fernando. um, that tells me that they are not worthy of my time. So in um, dating is hard. I mean, I will be honest. Dating is hard. However, if you find that one person who just likes you for you, I mean, that is awesome. That is awesome. Because love doesn't care if you have a stutter. It don't care if you're bald. It don't care if you're bow-legged or buck teeth. It don't care. I mean, they 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 love you for you. And once you find that, hold on to it because that is awesome. Because there are a lot of people out there who who are not able to handle it, and they walk away, or they laugh at you, or they mock,
Mhm.
at you. And you know, that tells me that you are not worthy of my time. So I say, but you know, adios.
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah. Girl, bye. So yeah.
That's
Yeah,
true. That's true.
yes, 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 yes. All right. S- So, what do you think about all this new, technology? You have Google Home, you have l- a l- um, you have the A one, and and then you have the S one, which I have a hard time with. Do you think all this new technology is helpful or hurtful for people who stutter?
I think it is helpful, but in the same sense, I feel like it can definitely be improved as far as taking account those that do stutter. Because as we both know, if we're trying to, for example, I have an iPhone, so I talk to Siri, hey Siri, take me to so and so. And if I don't say it right away, it's like, I did not understand what you're saying. I, so I had to repeat myself and ask her, and I had to make sure I'm fluent, and it comes out because if not, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Especially to those devices like in Alexa that are set in different places of your house. Some are far, from you, so you must speak louder. You must make sure your words aren't, clear, concise. So I feel like for some people it may be helpful because there's a way to program those devices so they can speak for you. So when it comes to like something like talking on the phone, you can program your device to talk for you and ask for a pizza or ask for whatever it is. So in that sense, yes, I do think it is helpful. In the other sense, I think improvements have to be made because they must take into account those that stutter or have any sort of speech impediment, because not everybody in this life is fluent 100%. And so, but then we bring up the subject of, well, there's not much stuttering. Only I think about 1% of the whole world population stutters. So, it's very hard to think about those people. So, all in all, though, yes, they are helpful, but they could definitely be fixed.
See, and my contention is, you know, like what you were talking about, they don't give you time to respond. Um, they want like 1 second, maybe two. However, for me, I need 8 minutes to breathe. So yeah, I don't do much of the Google or the or the Alexa or the MS one. I just will do it manually. I'll text, or I'll just, push a button. But many people who stutter have told me, that they use it as a means to practice because it's not a real human, you know, and so that is one of the benefits for for, for them. Plus, um, there are some colleges out there who are doing research pilots on how to have those uh, how to have the AI technology improved for people who stutter, and so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, what is a a challenge speech wise that you had to overcome, and how did you do it?
Challenge speech wise. Um, As I mentioned, I am bilingual, so my stutter is more out there in Spanish, just because Spanish is naturally a faster language. There's not much room for pausing in Spanish. I feel like it just flows, it just goes. So there's been times where I would have to speak in Spanish, and sometimes I can't say the word or I can create a sentence that makes sense. So I have to find ways to, pause and really recollect my thoughts and, find ways to say it and just, but there's been times where there's certain words that I know I have a hard time saying, like the th sounds or the sounds or the h sounds. And like you said, we have mental gymnastics going on in our heads. We find ways to articulate different words. Are they going to make sense? We have to work harder, sometimes and that can get exhausting. Mental exhaustion is real, mental fatigue is real, and for us it's 100% amplified times 10. So I think those are some challenges that I have faced myself, personally, and but some way or another I overcome it. You know what I mean? Some way or another I move along, and I've learned to just, it is what it is.
Yes, yes, yes. My sp- Spanish is also rough. And I also speak Turkish, and that is
Um,
also rough. So I stutter equally in Turkish and Spanish.
nice,
So
yeah.
the the struggle is real. However, like what you do, I just um uh, 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 I still have to do it. So I just, I take my time, I breathe, which is huge.
Mhm.
And Spanish, oh my gosh, my mom talks 100 miles an hour, Fernando.
Facts.
And I'm just trying to keep up with see, you know,
Yeah,
and I mean it is rough because I have to take my time. However, she is extremely patient and she has the patience of Job. And so I can talk to her in Spanish and it's awesome. However, in the real world, Fernando,
yeah.
yeah, it's a little rough. However, I just tell them, in Turkish or, in Spanish that I have a stutter. Um, all that I need is your patience and your respect and your eye contact. Yeah. So
That's
yeah.
extremely important. Eye contact has to be one of the most important things because sometimes, it's like, yo, what are you looking at? I'm right here. I'm not over there. I'm not a bird flying by. I'm a person that's standing right here in front of you. Look at me. I deserve your respect, your attention, and yeah, I mean, most importantly, your eye contact, because sometimes lack of eye contact, sometimes people think that it makes them superior to you. Like, you're not worthy of their time. You are boring. You don't make sense. Can we move on? Next question. So, I do emphasize that now. I try to really focus on telling people, hey, you know what? I'm right here. Look at my eyes. I practice that myself. I want to do what I want others to do to me, So I focus on, what? If you're talking to me, I'm gonna look at you. And sometimes eye contact can be intimidating to some people because some people think, oh my God, like you're looking at me, like, oh, you know. And so I try to do that. If I feel like the other person is becoming a little bit too shy, or I try to, focus away a little bit, but always keeping the eye contact, you know, there. So
Oh yes. Let me tell you, eye contact is what I started to learn last year. And I mean, because whenever I have a block, my eyes close. And when I repeat, I look away. So I'm trying to get better at it, and practice to have the good eye contact because that's what I want from the other person. So I have to be, cognizant of that. And every day I practice, have the good eye contact because I mean, I can't tell you, Fernando, when back in the day when I would have a block, and I'm talking a block, my eyes would close, my arms would go all over the place, trying to help me get out of the block. And when my eyes would reopen and that word came out, the other person was gone. And
Oh,
so however, now I'm still learning. I learn every day. My goal is I want to improve having good eye contact. So yeah, awesome,
of
awesome,
course,
awesome.
important.
Okay, now, do you think it's
Mm.
okay to to stutter, or is it important to keep chasing the fluency gods?
Well, as we both know, there's no cure to stuttering, and so for me though, I do want to chase fluency. Now, a miracle has to happen in my life where that is fixed. You know what I mean? But it's important to chase fluency because even though your stutter makes you who you are, you always want to improve yourself, improve in anything that you do in life. And speaking is one of them. I want to be able to be a better public speaker, a great communicator. And so that starts with my voice, and that starts with voice patterns and, finding ways to um, construct sentences. And so, yes, I do feel like it's important to chase fluency, but never forgetting who you are in that process, knowing that you are a person who stutters and embrace that. And that is something that I am learning each and every day. I tell you, Pedro, these past couple months, I've learned to accept my stutter because, like I mentioned before, it's not until these past couple months that I've really made it known to myself that, hey, I stutter. I'm not like the other people that are around me and don't stutter. I am different. So it's been a difficult time as far as mentally accepting that, you know what I mean? But like I said, I've lived with my stutter ever since I can remember. So, but it's weird for me, it's coming now later in life rather than early on. You know what I mean? I feel like, um, yeah, embracing it goes a long way. But chasing fluency is for sure has to be one of your goals, because you always want to improve. Improving your fluency, improving your stutter leads to better opportunities, and so
Um, right. We're all different. I mean, we all have different journeys. However, we do have that common denominator. And, um, you know, there is no magic pill. They don't have a cure. There is speech therapy to help you learn techniques to help improve your fluency. You know, we are a vulnerable population, and there are people out there because I get the emails. And they tell me that, Pedro, I can cure your stutter in 1 week. However, it's 8 grand. Um, then I will get another email. Um, Pedro, I can cure your stutter in 2 days. However, the cost is 5 grand. So I just I block and delete. So what I have learned on being on this earth for 51 years, and stuttering for 45 of those years, um, that I'm still learning. With having 20 years of speech therapy, I did hypnosis. I tried voodoo because, I had some money back in the day. And so I tried voodoo and that didn't work. However, I'm at this point in my life. Um, my goal is to just live every day, be who I am. I stutter. Life goes on. Um, my goal later on is to be a motivational speaker. You know, um,
Awesome.
I'm halfway with my book. So in having you know s- you know say that we're all different in our speech journeys, and I'm thankful that we have a community to help each other and guide each other and support one one another, because I think that is important. Uh, 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 I never had that back in the day, but now I do have it, and it's pretty awesome. So thank you for that.
That's
Um,
awesome. Thank you.
with having your stutter later in life, has your stutter, um, what has it taught you?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Um, Stuttering has taught me that no matter what obstacle you may have in life, you either shy from it, go back and hide under the sheets, or just cancel out all the noise. You have that option, or you have the option that, you know what, stand up and face it. Because best believe I'm not gonna let my stutter hold me back. I can't. You know, there's one person that depends on me, and that's me. There's, later on in life, when eventually I have a family, I get married, yes, others will depend on me. But as from right now, it is my duty to become the best possible version of myself and take the necessary steps possible to do that, to reach my goals, to pursue my dreams. And stuttering comes with that. You know what I mean? Like I said, we all know that there's no cue for this, and stuttering won't hold me back. Now, have I let it hold me back these past couple months more? Yes. Maybe because of my situation. I'm gonna be graduating. I have one presentation coming up next Friday, 8 to 10 minutes long. Capstone presentation, the last class that I need to finish my bachelor's. And Pedro, when I tell you I'm dreading it, I'm dreading it. I'm dreading it because, and we all go through that, but I don't want to go up there and make a fool of myself, be ridiculed. And at the end of the day, if people laugh at you, they're gonna laugh at you. It is what it is. Like you said earlier, if people laugh at you, that's because it tells more something about them than you. So, um, yeah. And Pedro, I found your podcast through searching YouTube videos, finding out about the community that's out there that stutters, who is just like me, who faces similar challenges like I face. And so that has really helped me these past couple weeks, these past couple days, and it's all leading to this presentation. It's all leading to my final days as an undergrad, and that has really amplified and multiplied the you know the consciousness of my stutter these past couple months. So, you know, yeah.
Well, let me tell you, Fernando, as a person who has been in your shoes numerous times, I had to give a 10-minute presentation, and it was my last one. It was my last one. However, in a list of 30 people, I was the first one. So I was right there with you. I mean, I had panic attacks. I had severe anxiety. I mean, I would just sweat, you know, through my clothes. However, what I did is I practiced every single day. I'm talking, I practiced and I rehearsed it. And when they called my name in a huge auditorium, Fernando, in a huge auditorium, they called my name. And so, I mean, it's a huge, and then you have a panel, and you walk on stage, and there's a podium, and there's a microphone, and then behind you is your PowerPoint. So I got up there and said, Pedro, it's go time. You have to do this because you have to graduate. You have to graduate. So to you have to do this. So what I did was I looked at the PowerPoint. I did not look at any people in the audience. I focused on that PowerPoint. And so I walked around and I did it. I had a couple of blocks, but I powered through it. And so at the end, Fernando, I had applause at the end of it. And I mean, I thought, it's like, wow, look what I did. Look, I mean, I was in an auditorium with people in there, giving me a grade, my last final grade. And so I went up there and I gave it my all. I did it. And I'm when I walked off stage, woo, Fernando, I was dripping. I mean, I was sweat everywhere. However, I did it. I did it. And I got an A.
That's awesome.
And I graduated. So I mean, if I can do it, Fernando, I know that you can do it. Be- because as you are doing it, just picture Pedro is in the corner cheering you on. I am behind you 110% because I know that you are gonna rock it out. You
Amen.
are gonna be awesome because I believe in you, Fernando. You have a new buddy in Texas, so I will be cheering you on. But you have this. You have this, and you are gonna be awesome.
Appreciate that, Pedro. For real. Means a lot, you know.
So you have to practice, practice, practice. Talk, to the wall or your mirror or your pet. But I mean, just every day, I mean, do it. And when you have to do it, it'll all come out. It'll all come out. I'm a testament to that.
Amen. That's awesome.
so, so what advice would you give to another person who stutters?
You know what's funny? Before I say this, I at my work. So I work at a Walmart at an e-commerce center where we distribute all the online orders. And there's a coworker of mine. He stutters too, and I realized that from the moment that I met him. And what's funny is that he didn't know that I stuttered. But when I told him that, hey, I stutter too, I completely understand, and I can picture myself in your shoes. I'm right there with you. I know exactly what you're going through. I know exactly what you have gone through, even though we have different situations, different upbringings. I can resonate with you, and so I told him, hey, because he shies away from being sociable and this and that. So I told him, hey, no matter what, at the end of the day, your stutter doesn't define who you are. It is who you are. You know what I mean? It is who you are. His name is Freddie. Freddie, this is who you are. And it comes with your package. This is you. So you either embrace it and make it a part of you, you hug it, and you bring it with you everywhere you go, you know? And never see your stutter as your downfall. Never see your stutter as your disability. Never see your stutter as something that you dread 24/7. Because trust you, Pedro, when I say this, these past couple months, I've dreaded it and I've questioned, you know, in my case, God. I'm a big man of faith. God, why? Why me? Why can't I be fluent? Lord, work your miracles in my life and make me fluent. What do I have to do for me to speak fluent? Why? Why me? Why? And then I sat back and said, hey, you know what? I'm just making a bunch of excuses for myself right now. I'm just creating this problem worse than what it shouldn't be because this isn't a problem. Pedro is stuttering, and somebody who stutters, you're not a problem. Your speech impediment is not the problem. This is who you are, and it may go away later on in life. It may not. But when you live presently, accepting your stutter is everything. Because once you do that, everything around you, everything that you do will start flowing more naturally. Everything will come together. Everything will work together, and it will move you forward. No matter what, it will move you forward. And if there's one thing in life that we can't stop, Pedro, it's time. Time goes on and on and on and on. And like you said, and like the great Nike, just do it. Just do it. And in my case, accept it, you know? And that is something that I struggle with sometimes. Even me going on, coming on here and you asking me, hey, what advice can I give somebody who stutters? Is that. And I struggle with that too. I struggle with accepting my own stutter. But I understand that if I want to move on in life and not get hold back by this, I must embrace it. I must accept it, and I must take it with me until I pass or until. So that's the number one thing here is if you stutter, that makes you unique. There's nobody else like you. You are Pedro, you are Fernando, you are who you are. And that is it, you know.
Ooh, Fernando. Yeah, that was powerful. And I too am a man of faith, and I mean, I had long talks with God, long talks with God back in the day. I mean, l- I mean, in school, um, I was, you know, pretty much isolated, for a long time, and I would ask God why, why me, because I thought I was the only one. I thought I was the only one in the world that had a stutter. I couldn't order out. I couldn't order in the cafeteria. I mean, I couldn't do anything, and people would always talk for me. Um, the 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 first time that I met another person who stuttered. It was in my 20s. It was in my 20s.
Wow.
And um, I mean, this was just a random person on the sidewalk. And and so I wanted to greet, and I had my hand out, and then he put his hand out, and then there were no words.
Wow.
He 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 wanted to greet me. Heck, I wanted to greet him, but nothing came out. Although we were still shaking hands. So after, after uh, uh, some time, I had uh, muttered, "I understand." And woo, let me tell you, Fernando, because in his eyes, I could visually see the anguish, the agitation, the irritation. I could see everything. And once I told him I understand, everything had dropped. And we had a great conversation. He stuttered, I stuttered, but that was just a powerful moment because I had never met another person like me, ever that had what I have. And to hear you talk about, Googling, you know, people who stutter and finding my YouTube, we are a community. And I mean, it, I mean, finally, here's where I belong. This is my tribe. And now we help each other. You know, we'll do Zoom calls, or, Skype calls to just help one one another because, there are younger people who are going through this. And since, you and I are a little older, you know, we can offer tips, techniques or advice. Uh, 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 that is um truly comforting now that we are a part of a community. And so, I want to thank you for googling that because you know um now you're in. So
Yeah, and what's crazy is that so there's a player that now plays for the Blue Jays. His name is George Springer. He, stutters. I did not know that he stuttered. It wasn't until my I like the Dodgers. So when the Astros beat the Dodgers, they interviewed George Springer and they had a segment in the news about his stutter and how his speech impediment has impacted his career as an athlete from the age when he was younger to now that he's a professional. And seeing him up there talking, him being a champion, even though they had just beaten my team, man, it inspired me. It made me realize that, hey, I'm not the only one who stutters. And what's crazy is that all through elementary school, up until high school, there was a French class that I took. There was one person in that class. I remember his name was Richie, and we had to do a presentation in French. And Richie went up there and he owned his stutter though. He was so confident. It doesn't matter how long he took to say these words in French or nothing like that. But I saw Richie up, and it was the first time I had ever seen anybody besides my father go up there, speak to a class, and stutter his life away, but do it with such grace and with such empowerment that, man, it had an impact in my life. And, seeing other people that stuttered and that I know what they are going through, I know what they have gone through because I can picture my life in their shoes. And hey, one thing we have in common is that I stutter just like you, just like George Springer. There's another NBA player by his name is Michael Kidd Gilchrist, and he also stutters. And I didn't know that. I was watching an interview of him, and I saw that he had trouble saying words and talking. And I was like, "Hey, Michael, I get you, bro. I understand what you're going through. I get you." And the reporter didn't make it known, but it just so happened to be that they brought up his stutter and his past and how it led to him being a professional basketball player. But you know who has been the number one uh, inspiration in my life, Pedro, and as a man of God, my father, he's an amazing singer, right? My father sings Mexican, Spanish. He sings English. He led the worship team at my church. I play the drums, so I play the drums in my church. And as you know, people who stutter when they sing, they don't stutter. There's no blockage in their fluency patterns. There's none because it flows, you know. And so my dad also preaches the word of God, so he has given sermons. And when I tell you, multiple times when I would see my dad go up there and preach the word of God, he never stuttered, and he would speak in churches, 200 people, 300 people, and he never stuttered. And if he did stutter, he would kind of make this gesture like, oh, come on, let it out. And he would kind of not make fun of himself, but people would laugh, but they never really saw him as a stutter. But I know, hey, that's my dad and he stutters. But he's up there preaching the word of God. And for some odd reason, he's up there preaching the word of God, and there's no stuttering, there's no blocking, there's no nothing going on. And that has always resonated with me. And so, yeah, that's something that I felt like I had to share here. And go ahead, you can continue with your questions. But
No, no, I mean, that is awesome. I mean, that's just truly awesome. And you know, uh, I do know how to sing, however, I'm not that good. But I mean, but you are 100% correct. When we sing, we don't stutter. I don't know if you know this country artist, Mel Tillis, back in the day.
yes, yeah. So funny that you asked that because, like I said, I was on YouTube searching up videos of I think it's the WSA, the We Stutter Association, or is it the NSA or the WS or the WSA, something like that. But anyways, I was scrolling through those, and one of the recommended videos was about I would search up, famous people who stuttered because I know that President Joe Biden had a severe stutter. So in the recommended videos said, "Oh, country singer Mel Tillis stuttered," and he was singing, and there was no stutter. But I saw that he would do an interview with some late night, talk show, and it was odd because people were intrigued to hear him talk because of his stutter. So they would actually encourage him to stutter because that would bring the audience back to listen to him and to watch, and the ratings would go up because Mel Tillis stuttered. And I found that funny because as stutters we don't want to stutter, but people wanted him to stutter, which is it kind of contradicts itself. But yeah,
Right. Yeah.
I know about Mel Tillis, and there's other several people who are known and are kind of famous that have studied before. So that kind of gives us, a little bit more confidence that no matter what, look at them and what we are able to or can accomplish. You know what I mean?
Yes, and we are everywhere, Fernando. We are doctors. We are attorneys. We are actors. We work at NASA. I mean, we work in huge, companies, Congress. I mean, we are everywhere and we are just rocking it out. I mean, it is
Amen.
truly awesome. It is truly awesome. Now, here is my last question. So, if you had the opportunity to give insight to the world about st- stuttering, what message would you convey?
Message I would convey to the world if they were absolutely not aware of what stuttering is and how stuttering impacts the lives of those who do stutter and the things that they have to live with, they have to endure on a daily basis, the mental struggles, the mental battles they have to go through, the anxiety for, in some cases, depression would be that, hey, if you stutter, the number one thing you have to know and realize is that you are not the only one. And that gives you a little bit of more sense of comfort, you know what I mean? And embrace it, embrace it, own it, and don't get lost in the chase of being fluent. Don't get lost. Don't lose yourself chasing something that might not ever come. Don't lose yourself chasing something that even if you do accomplish it and let's say one day you wake up and you're fluent, is that gonna make who Pedro was? Is that gonna make who Fernando was? You're gonna wake up and say, hey, you know what? That is not me. I had a purpose in life. I have a purpose in life. And if stuttering is a part of my purpose, then so be it. And so I think that's what I will say to people is, hey, just because I stutter, that doesn't make me different than you. We are all here on this earth. We all have a purpose, whether you have discovered that purpose or not. Um, and at the end of the day, even if you stutter, even if you can't say your name, even if you can't do this and you can't do that, life goes on. And like I said earlier, you either shy from it or you stand up and you hit that home run. And if you have to get on first base and second base and third base to reach home, best believe do it. Do it because that will go a long way and it will teach you to be resilient. And if there's one thing that we all have in common as stutters, that we are resilient. Like you said, we are resilient. And for somebody who doesn't stutter, a presentation or whatever it may be is something that, as human beings, we all have nerves. But for somebody who stutters, those nerves are times 10. Times 10. And something so simple as saying your name can be the most terrifying thing in the world at that moment. So I would say stand tall and don't shy from it. And you know what's funny is that sometimes the people that give out the best tips or the best advice are the hardest ones to follow it, you know? But that's something that we have to learn as people who are in the shoes of those who do stutter and those who do not stutter, you know? Uh, Learn to view your stutter in two different lenses, the lens of the stutter and the lens of the person that doesn't stutter, and find common ground. Because once you find common ground, that's going to allow you, the person who stutter, push that to the side and not really focus on it too much. Because Pedro, the more you focus on your stutter, the more you are going to stutter.
Ooh,
And
you know it. You know it.
I've learned that, and I'm learning that. And these past couple months, these past couple days, I've learned that, and I keep tying that to myself. Hey, Fernie, it's gonna be okay. You know, at the end of the day, after you're done with that presentation, after you're done with that interview, after you're done ordering food, after you're done saying your name, after you are done doing whatever in this life that you do, life will go on and time will not stop. And so embrace it, be yourself. And the last thing I would say is you are who you are and your purpose is unique to yourself. Fly, bird, fly.
Oh, I got goosebumps, Fernando. Um, okay, a couple of points. One, that's a great message. And two, there is a quote that I have lived by for a very long time. And it is everything that you want is on the other side of fear, and that's the truth. And then lastly, I mean, you hit it right on the nose. Don't focus on your stutter. I want you to focus on life. Be present. It took me 35 years, Fernando, 35 years to learn that. And let me tell you, when I focus on the other person, when I focus on our conversation, I'm not even thinking about my stutter. I'm not thinking about the words that are coming down the pike. I'm not even thinking about that. And so, let me tell you, there are days where everything comes out. Everything comes out because I'm not focusing on my stutter. And there have been people, Fernando, that have told me that I'm faking it. It's like,
Oh,
no, I'm not. I mean, days where everything comes out. I mean, there is no rhyme or reason. Everything just comes out. And there are days nothing comes out. And that's when I breathe. I stop. However, um, I have learned to be present. And when you do that, you appreciate, just being with another person and having a great conversation. So I am not thinking about my stutter, which I used to do every minute of every day. And when you think about it, you hit it on the nose. When you think about it, for me, because I can only talk for Pedro, when I would think about it, guess what? There it is. And there it is. And when I am not thinking about it, I mean, words just come out. I'm not having any blocks. I'm not having any repetitions. I mean, it is a head sc- scratcher, but I'm a firm believer in live your life because life is about moments. And, you know, for 35 years, s- s- I s- suffered. For over 3 decades. And you talk about darkness, but thankfully, God puts people in your path for a reason.
yeah,
And so thankfully I came out of that darkness and came into the light because we have a light. We have a light in us and we are going to let that light sh- shine bright for all to see b- b- because we are awesome. We are creative. We are resilient and we are courageous. And so, yeah. Whew.
amen. You nailed it.
Now, you are on the verge of graduating from college. And let me be the first one to tell you congratulations. Welcome to the club.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Now, what are your aspirations after college?
So a little bit of what I'm planning to do or what I want to pursue is I am getting my Bachelor of Science in Exercise Science. So one of my passions in life is sports and health and wellness. I last year during right after well during the pandemic, but the summer June of last year, I lost 70 pounds, and so that made me realize that hey, there's other people out there that need help and they need guidance, and ignorance is bliss. You know what I mean? Sometimes we don't know what is out there, and so with this degree, Pedro, what like I said, my one of my passions in life is sports, but now is I want to be. I truly feel like my purpose in life and my mission in life is uh, to help others become their best versions of themselves. You know, what steps do they need to take to become the best possible version of themselves and the best person that they can be, fulfill their purpose. And I really believe that starts with health and wellness. You know, how you take care of your body, how you fuel your body, how you go on about, taking care of yourself as far as what you eat, what you see, what you don't do, what you exercise, and all that thing. So um, I feel like those are my aspirations. I would really want to become uh, an exercise scientist and work with professional teams and work at clinics. But God has a plan for my life, and I'm gonna let His plan manifest in my life. And so I am going along with it, like you say, live in the present time. Sometimes as human beings we focus so much on the future and we dwell on the past. And so that really sometimes breaks us down and doesn't allow us to advance and keep moving forward. Sometimes we become stagnant and we stay there and we don't move. We either move back or we stay there and we don't move forward. And so those are my goals, Pedro, just to help people and educate people on health and wellness and how their mental health is important, their physical health is important, and their spiritual health is important as well. And like you said, we all have that light, and this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. So
I'm gonna
you
let it
know,
shine.
so that is my plan. And as a man of faith, I really wanna incorporate Christ in this, and He's the one that gives me that extra push every single day. And so Philippians 4:13, for those that don't know, is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And you don't have to be religious, you don't have to be nothing, but that is a powerful verse to live on, and live with, is that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And so yeah, that's what I want to leave people with, is that no matter what, you are loved, you are worthy, and yeah, you are loved and you are worthy.
Ooh, Fernando, that is awesome. That is awesome. And you know, to lose 70 pounds, I mean, that is phenomenal. You have to be motivated.
Of course.
You know, d- 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 um, disciplined to um to do that. And so, so I tip my hat off to you. That is awesome.
Thank
That
you,
is
sir. I
awesome.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
and then also you have a bright future. I mean, I can already picture it. I mean, you are gonna be awesome in whatever that you do, in whatever path that you go into. You are gonna be awesome. And just know that, Pedro, I am in that corner back there. I'm
Thank you.
cheering
Thank
you
you.
on. I'm cheering you. However that I can help you, let me know, because you are a bright light. I mean, when I look you at you, I see positivity. I mean, and that is, I mean, it is a huge honor. And so, I mean, um, you have such a bright future. I wish you nothing but success and prosperity.
Thank you very much, my brother. I really appreciate your words. I accept your words, and likewise, it is my honor to have been on here in on this podcast, and hopefully, even if there's one person out there who's gonna listen to this, um, takes away from this, is that you are loved and you are worthy. And no matter what you may face in life, there's always somebody out there who knows exactly what you're going through. So yeah, thank you again, and I take your words, and I thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Well, Fernando, I want to thank you for being a guest on my podcast. You are hashtag awesome. You are a bright light, and so I have the best listeners. I mean, they're all over the world. And what if they wanted to reach out to you? What would be the best way for them to do that?
So I am on Instagram, Fernie Baller. It is my Instagram. It's FERNY Baller, BALLER. I am on Twitter, Fernie Baller. Same thing. And yeah, I can also leave down my email in the description below. I can yeah, I welcome all the messages because I have been in those shoes. I reached out to you, I messaged you, I have messaged others from the community, and I have just expressed myself, what I've gone through. Because sometimes you feel like you just have to uh, express what you're going through to somebody. It could be anybody. And so I encourage all the listeners out there, all around the world, to do so. My DMs are open, and free judgment zone.
How cool. Thank you, sir. Um, we will have those links in the podcast notes. And so that way, anyone from around the world can go there and, and, you know, and click on those links and reach out to you. And so once again, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Down the road, okay, let's do this again because I mean, I had a great talk with you today. Uh, uh,
Likewise.
uh, I know that you are experiencing this later in in life, and so however that we can help you, just just reach out, and you will always have Pedro here in Texas.
I appreciate that, brother. From the bottom of my heart, I really thank you for this, and thank you for giving us, people who stutter, the space where we can just come here and just pour our heart out or whatever we have, thinking. And yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.
How cool. Thank you, sir. Thank you again. I hope you have an awesome evening. Take care, be well, and stay safe.
Thank you. God bless you.
If you like this podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you for listening, and we will talk again.